we both like top five, okay, then maybe we can kind of have like some type of business competition, so to speak, because we're fighting over number one. A lot of times we fight and compete over scraps. And I think that's the big difference why multi-million dollar companies can compete, be it so they within the same race and they can still continuously thrive, is because they're not fighting over scraps. When you're fighting over scraps, whether it's scraps of attention, scraps of currency, whatever, eventually the competition is gonna change. You know what I mean? Like we talk about it all the time. One family member go get a new car, you got to go get a new car. You know what I'm saying? Somebody get into a new relationship, all of a sudden you want to settle down. Somebody get pregnant, now you're trying to have a baby. The competition, why? Instead, you should be you can be motivated, right? And that's a completely different type of energy. Motivation means I don't have to have what you have in particularly, but I'm motivated by the actions that you put into place to obtain whatever that is. Motivation is just you letting me know that it was possible when I thought it was impossible. Now, whether I meet your particular status or not, nonetheless, I'm just motivated by what you did. So that's how people can coexist. I say on the positive side when it comes down to competition and motivation, but you have a lot of people that can be very close to you and you can be in a competition with them the whole time and you never know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast, where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I'm your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, everybody? I go by the name of King Exodus. Once again, welcome back to your favorite show. We thank you for spending your time with us. So, tonight's episode, we're going to talk about something a little interesting. Hopefully, make everybody think a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Renegotiate their relationships. Positive, negative, however. We have love and hate relationships. This topic was simply produced just not from just personal experiences per se, but if we just look at history on a scale, whether it's like, if we go to like biblical literature and we talk about like a lot of betrayal, you know what I'm saying? We even have like Jesus being crucified by the way of Judas betraying him. And then we have even movies like Judas and the Black Messiah, how we see that a lot of Black organizations, a lot of successful organizations, a lot of our leaders were murdered by way of being infiltrated by people they trust. Even if we look at the homie Nip, and when we first heard that story, okay, somebody shot him, he died, people were thinking, okay, this had to be somebody that was close to him, you know what I'm saying, being in a situation that he had his guards down. So we're going to talk about love-hate relationships. Can these things exist? Can a person have love and hatred for the same person? Is it one or the other? So we're just going to have a conversation. Let's go.
Awesome. Oh, man, this is going to be a very interesting one. People want to know sometimes can love and hate coexist at the same time while being around an individual. As much as, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be balanced on this one. I do believe it can exist, but you want to be very cautious of people that are envious. Envious has more of a repercussion type of actions. They will take more actions on you, from what I've seen. Sometimes, like I said, jealousy, envy, just some of those connections that really can have a person attack you in the end. The craziest thing is sometimes you can show somebody so much love that you're not even aware that they actually hate you at the same time, right? They just appreciate everything that you're giving them the whole time to a point where you're blinded by what's going on. Man, I could talk about, this is funny, man. I always bring back a lot of things that happened when me and X was first rapping. I was like, we had a particular person, it was three of us, and it was like me and X kept taking care of everything, whatever needed. Food, we paying for the studio, we paying for this and that, and it was just like when it came time to execution, it was like, oh, I got it, and y'all got it, and y'all over there moving and stuff. I was like, bro, like, this is not going to be productive. You know what I'm saying? Won't get too personal on that, but like I said, it'd be like the smallest things that you don't see. I remember a couple of times I had to pull X to the side. I'm like, hey, bro, I don't know if you've been noticing what's been going on. He's like, nah, man, that's just him. I was like, nah, bro. Like, it's been moments where I could have been seen as an envious person because I was like, man, his rhymes kind of suck, man. Like, yo, he's not consistent. So it's like, hey, this is a real relationship. I'm being dead honest. I'm like, yo, his rhymes kind of suck. He never on time, man. He was like, hey, man, X was just like the moderator of the situation at times. Like, hey, man, he gonna still do what it do. Like, this is how you get our fan base. You have a different style. He has a different style. I have a different style. But like I said, as the ball started moving, time started progressing, it was just like, all right, we just gonna have to do this between us now. But during that time period when everything was collapsing, I ended up going off to college. X ended up doing his own thing. So that's just a small little intro right there.
Great intro.
Man,
Yeah.
that relationship was crazy, dog.
Yeah. So keeping it right there, I ain't gonna go too far off. What tends to happen in those type of situations is sometimes people can be blinded by love. You could have so much love for a particular person that you don't see when their energy and their vibrations change towards you, right? It's like you're ignoring all the signs that are visible. So I think love and hate can kind of coexist within most people for the same person because of the simple fact I don't think a lot of people just truly know what love is and how to love people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The minute a disagreement arises, the minute some chaos happens, the minute somebody say the wrong thing, I feel as though if your first reaction is to forget that that person is someone that you love, do you really love that person? And if so, what do we need to work on so that this doesn't have to be chaotic, right? One thing that I hate is when people say, hey, you know, we family. We can fight, we can do whatever, but in the end, we're going to have each other back. That's toxic. Because if we're family, it don't mean we get to disrespect each other 100% and come back around because we share the same blood. What it should mean is, since we're family, I'm going to hold you in the highest regard. I'm going to give you the utmost respect at all times, even if it's uncomfortable, right? So what a lot of people do is we have dysfunctional relationships and we carry on as if the shit is normal. You know what I mean? And so this happens in family, definitely happens in friendships. With the friendship aspect, we should constantly reevaluate who is our friend. By what metrics? You know what I'm saying? What type of energy? What type of frequencies are they bringing into your space? So if we always have to renegotiate the terms of that contract that we have with people in friendships and relationships. So the way a lot of people work is, if you're not adding to me, then I have to subtract you from the equation, because my energy, my growth is being stagnant because of this relationship, this love-hate type of relationship that we're having. So that would be my first point. Always go back to the drawing board on, quote unquote, who your friends are, and pay attention to your family relationships. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna go too far off into it. That's my intro.
Oh man, I definitely say I do like what X said. You do have to reevaluate your friends as well as family. People have it stuck in their mind you still the same fucking person. Like you can, like, you know what I'm saying, you could poop your pants at 3 years old. You're a grown ass man now. Hey man, I remember when you pooped your pants, man. You still the same dude. I'm a grown ass motherfucking man. What are you talking about? But people still have those memories to a point where they haven't seen your development and your growth, so they still think of the situations at hand. There's times like it'd be like small times when I'm with a lot of people that, you know, I'm close with, and I have to reevaluate myself. Like, yo, am I developing or evolving, or are they finally growing, or does it seem like we're not going to be connected as much? For instance, I try to reach out to a friend that I basically consider a family member. I seen this person in years or whatnot, and I was coming into town from Puerto Rico, and I was like, hey, would you be able to pick me up? He was off that day. You know what I'm saying? I can't really ask people for too much, but I was just like, hey, let's catch up. I already had it in my mind, like, as soon as he picked me up and put gas in the car, you know, I'm gonna pay for food. Like, I haven't seen him in like a long time. You know, I'm a very generous person. But it was like, I remember asking him at first, he was like, I don't know, fam. Like, I'll see about it, you know? And I was like, huh? We're talking now. Like, hey, I just need a yes or a no. But I end up getting like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do it. But I was like, bro, you're off. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, okay, maybe our relationship is not as, what I think it is, or maybe he has something else going on. But it'd be the smallest things that make me kind of reevaluate things of how I will go out the way for them versus the smallest things for me. Um, like I said, even with friends, you got to be very cautious of it, right? One of my favorite things, y'all already know I love The Godfather, man. He always says, like, yo, your friendship changes every 5 years. You always change as an individual every day to every day to every year. So you have to constantly, like you said, check everything that's in place and know how to move and put people in certain categories. That's why I don't ever say like, hey, we're friends all the time. Um, Even though I do have a habit, I will say that contradict myself. I do have a habit of saying, hey, what's up, friend? Because I know it's like a disarming type of thing, but I don't mind categorizing people as acquaintances, familiars, friends, like you co-workers. You got to keep them in certain areas so you don't confuse your mind in the relationship that's happening. Now, it is possible that the areas you put them in, they can be upgraded, but don't give them that reward just yet. Everybody has to put in. I know people who go out with their coworkers and think they their friends, and they be like, "Yo, man, he went back and told everybody we went out." Some people that lost jobs and stuff. I was like, "Yo, that's crazy." But I always say, only let a person know what they should know at the same time. That's why, for the longest, I was talking. Go ahead and end it at this. I talked to an old friend I've been on for like 7 years now. She said, "Look, what do you do?" I said, "I'm at work right now." She said, "You're at work?" I said, "I would have never known. I thought you was working. I thought you was an entrepreneur this whole time. Like, you really don't put stuff out there that you do. And like, every time I see you, you're up, you're out about. You always talk about business and you have an energy." They never knew what I do the whole time. So that should tell you something.
All right.
Drinking tea.
So, question timeline. What timeline did you give your friends before you reevaluate that relationship? That's up to the person. Some people have like a set amount of time. Some people just look at their life. When they shit get a little too rocky, they look at their relationships. They look at everything that they do on a daily basis, who they talking to. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people take it that far to where they like, my success is so important. Any type of negative energy I feel, it don't matter if I got to reevaluate my friends once a week, twice a day, you know what I'm saying? However many times, people just really just look at their own energy and how they succeeding or not. So my next thing would be like competition and motivation. I feel like people have love-hate relationships because sometimes it can stem from competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a lot of people that do business, like Black people that's real successful in business. One guy in particular, he was getting interviewed. Mr. Peebles, one of the richest Black men in America. He was saying that, yo, like Black businesses got to start looking at each other as allies and not competition. We can compete with other businesses outside of our group, but not each other. We're allies. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, if you look at different communities, the Jewish community, somebody start a business, they fund it. And they continuously buy from that business until it's successful enough to run on its own without them just really engaging at that particular rate. Okay, cool. Once we get that business up to a particular level, and like me and you probably got two different businesses, and now we both like top 5, okay, then maybe we can kind of have like some type of business competition, so to speak, because we're fighting over number one. A lot of times we fight and compete over scraps. And I think that's the big difference why multi-million-dollar companies can compete, be it so they within the same race and they can still continuously thrive, is because they're not fighting over scraps. When you're fighting over scraps, whether it's scraps of attention, scraps of currency, whatever, eventually the competition is gonna change. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about it all the time. One family member go get a new car, you got to go get a new car. You know what I'm saying? Somebody get into a new relationship, all of a sudden you want to settle down. Somebody get pregnant, now you're trying to have a baby. The competition, why? Instead, you should be you can be motivated, right? And that's a completely different type of energy. Motivation means I don't have to have what you have in particularly, but I'm motivated by the actions that you put into place to obtain whatever that is. Motivation is just you letting me know that it was possible when I thought it was impossible. Now, whether I meet your particular status or not, nonetheless, I'm just motivated by what you did. So that's how people can coexist. I say on the positive side when it comes down to competition and motivation. But you have a lot of people that can be very close to you, and you can be in a competition with them the whole time, and you never know.
Mm-hmm.
You're not keeping score. Like you brought up a situation earlier where we had, you know what I'm saying, somebody mutual. We wasn't keeping necessarily tabs on who's buying what, who's paying for what. We're not keeping score. It only becomes a problem when we see the energy is being abused.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
So you've got to pay attention to things of that nature. Like I say, motivation and competition. What you got on that?
Oh man, definitely. I'll say this. Story I'll give you right now. I remember talking with a friend of mine, and she was giving me the story about how in her family, one sister is in competition, and the other one is just not in a competition at all. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime she sees the older sister makes progress, she immediately has to do something right then and there. Right? So she got a new car. Well, hey, let me go get a new car. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she got a boyfriend. Well, look, let me show her I can get out there and get a boyfriend as well. Now, one of the most drastic moves that she made, I said that drastic because this individual ended up buying a house. And I remember talking to this friend. I was like, yo, if you don't mind me asking, like, how much does your family member makes? And she was like, well, she told me. And I said, yo, that's the average woman's salary a year. Y'all just bought a $250,000 house. Like, how are y'all able to afford that? And she was like, well, keep it honest, she wasn't able to. I had to put my name down. But this is when I had brought up before. I was like, this individual also works as a financial advisor. But the same friend of mine says she never was able to keep up with her finances. But the fact that every time her sister did something, it made her want to do it immediately. So imagine that you wanted to be in competition with your own family, that you're struggling at the same time. But you got to look like you're there because you don't want to feel like the only person behind. They just released a study not too long ago saying that there's more single women that own houses than it is men that own houses. And I was just like, yeah, because men don't look at buying houses unless they're going to create a family, right? They don't put the statistics behind it. And I said sometimes when men do buy houses, it's for the ownership of learning what it is to be be an owner within a mortgage or within a house. Not to necessarily nest in unless they're going to move somebody in. They're going to lease it out. But it'd be the smallest things I'd be peeping like, yo, people be in competition when you don't think they are, right? I remember you can have friendly competition literally turn to hate, right? I remember one time me and this guy was going at it. I was like, look, let's see who get the most sales this month, right? We go around, see who can recruit the most people, who hit in certain numbers. I'm whooping his ass. Next month, he whooped my ass. Next month, he whooped my ass. I bounce back, whoop his ass. This dude always had better leverage than me. I can 100% admit that. I can 100% admit that. And I remember just one time, I was like, bro, I don't know what it is, but this has always been one of my problems that I had to learn how to control. We did a topic called the hierarchy, right? When you leave one hierarchy, you get to another. Nobody likes to start the fucking bottom. Nobody. And I realized I'm trying to compete with somebody who's already in a certain position. And it would irritate me because I'm used to having some type of leverage, some type of power. So I remember I had to pull him to the side and say, look, man, I don't know what's going on, bro, but I felt at one point I was kind of envious of you. And he was like, why? I was like, I'm not used to starting at the bottom when I move somewhere. But there's a whole different environment. There's a whole different playground. And he was just like, yo, you just got to learn how to control it. You know what I'm saying? As we're talking, I was able to get through it, and our friendship was able to continue. But there's things I had to admit amongst myself that sometimes competition can really turn to something negative if you don't know how to control your emotions, right? I don't know if you ever, that's like me coming into the NBA, and I'm like, yo, I got Jordan. Be like, you just got it. What's the situation with Kobe and Michael Jordan? That's Black Jesus. Like, you don't do that to him. But it's more so you're trying to prove yourself that you're worthy in this individual's eyes. That's why you have to learn to control your ego and Like Kobe went to MJ to learn how to get better. I went to this individual to learn how to get better to a point where, hey, our relationship was there.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Next thing I'll talk about is like enemies, friends. Um, this type of shit is sometimes interchangeable. You know what I'm saying? Even if we look at history, we look at just studying wars and shit like that. Sometimes the people that you at odds with right now and the people that you rocking with doesn't mean that any of those positions are locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Those positions can be interchangeable. We see it a lot of times. A lot of people can be quote unquote enemies or at war, but it's still rules of engagement within war. Be it so that people have like morals and they into that type of things. So what happens is you have situations like the YSL with a whole like young thug type thing, right?
They took themselves.
So you have it to where, you know what I'm saying, the ops, the enemy, is holding more of a key principle of like respect than and honor than the people that he's rocking with. You know what I mean? So when these type of things happen, do we still consider our friends and enemies the same people? That's why it's really important to just reevaluate the people that you have close to you and the people that you have quote unquote beef with or some type of contingency with. So very key. Like I said, studying war, a lot of times people come together. We see it in TV shows like Power, one of my favorite shows. I talk about it a lot. There's a lot of people that Ghost wasn't fucking with that he ended up fucking with later because they had common enemies. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times that can bring people together. Some people can bond relationships off having a mutual love and respect for somebody, and some people can bond relationships by having a mutual enemy. So those are the things that always come to my mind with love-hate relationships.
Man, I was just about to say the same. It's the enemy of my enemy, my friend or my enemy. This is literally what that is. There's definitely a fight for territory, right? Sometimes when two enemies knew they were weaker than one big enemy, they joined forces. That happens a lot. How you brought up businesses, they join forces to eliminate anybody else from growing. They'll do things just like that. Like if it comes to eliminating a possible threat, people will shake hands like, hey, listen, we're going to be alliance until this situation is over with, and then we can go back to try to kick each other's ass. And they're like, all right, cool. Let's do that, right? And that is something that you said earlier when you said within the Black community that we haven't learned is align forces for the task at hand, right? Man had taught me when it comes to government contracts. I expressed it to the brothers. I said, look, man, this dude told me, like, what we need to do is create different LLCs, but go after the same contracts, but be in alliance with each other. So it doesn't matter who win between the four of us, we all win because they don't know we're working with each other. So we already got something mapped out. And, you know, if the fellas want to keep moving forward and progress to that, we already got something mapped out, right? You see 4 different companies, you know if we're aligned or not. But this is what I learned that they also do in different nationalities, white people, Jews, they do all that, right? Y'all be thinking some of these companies are against each other. No, that's a sister company, that's a brother company, that's an alliance company. I'm like, yo, they just get smarter. While we're sitting here trying to compete for one whole contract or one whole building, they're saying, hey, look, make as many LLCs that we need to make until we point where we get it. Hey, who's that? Ted. Ted got the resource. Okay, Bob. Bob got the network. Sam can make shit happen. All right, we're gonna come together on this. All right, and I just be like, damn, yo, that's a real alliance. But like I said, but when they're separate, they're in competition, but they know how to come together when it comes to making money. One thing I would say about your enemies, 48 laws of power, man. Sometimes your enemies are willing to prove themselves harder than you than your own friends. They'll show up to your table to let you know, hey, you slipping, I'm on your ass. Hey, like it's I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation like that or a situation I had to execute to let somebody know, hey, I could be a threat or I could be an alliance. That's why they always say, look, it's better for you to be my friend than my enemy. So we can make things happen legitimately, or we can go in competition and I can wipe you out. You know that. And that's what some of the moves that are being made, whether you want to say it's bossing or you want to say it's tyrannical. Yeah, yeah, tyrannical or not, but it's things that can be made and done from individuals. And then one thing I noticed that even enemies become best friends at the time, right? My
Mhm.
boy just put in there, John, just put in Goku Vegeta. I don't know if y'all know the story about Dragon Ball Z. They were fighting each other for seasons. One day they just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying we keep fighting each other, we keep better and stronger. We're the last of the dying breed, we might as well form an alliance. That's all that happened. And it came off of combat, right? And it came off of combat and fighting experiences. And experiences sometimes is the best teacher. That's why I always say, look, there's people I don't like, but they work ethics make me respect them off tops. So the fact I respect you, that means you can really win me over.
And pretty much like you have earned positions within your life.
Mhm.
A lot of people that feel like they automatically get a certain type of energy from you, those are the people that take you for granted more so. Like I didn't have personal relationships and I've seen like, well, I won't make it so personal, but I've seen it to where like a person will leave a particular relationship with one person, right? Be it so that it's like intimate, and then they will go back to like toxic family relationships of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
if you're gonna be like quote unquote have standards and boundaries about your energy and your space and you don't tolerate certain things, let that be who you are all the time. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I just had to throw that in.
No, no, that's beautiful,
So
bro. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my next thing will be communication. A lot of people suck at communication. Like love and hate relationships could grow out of like miscommunication. So for example, I seen a live with Slaughterhouse.
Mhm.
Everybody except Work It Out. So you had Joe Budden, Royce the 5'9", and damn, I can't think about the other dude's name. But they'll come back to me. Light skinned guy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
So
Joe
Joe
Budden. This
Ortiz.
time.
Ortiz. So you have these three people on the live and they talking about like how the group broke up. Now of course it's 2-on-1, so to speak. They not agreeing with Ortiz. And you know what I'm saying? So people are being called liars, all this shit. So Joe Budden speaking to bro and he like, look, man, I love you. He like, man, I love you too. So the love is established that everybody on this live love each other. So Ortiz was just like, look, man, you know, shit, if you love me, man, support the album. Me and Crooked I got. Joe was like, I ain't supporting that bullshit. Man, nigga, suck my dick.
Joe.
And I'm just like, the love was already established, but the conversation ended with suck my dick. So a lot of times, communication is key in these type of situations. I feel like we should learn how to communicate just on general purposes, just for the sake of just being better people. But you really should hold yourself to a higher regard when it comes to people that you love. We can't just snap off and say shit like, hey, suck my dick. So now he gotta, you know what I'm saying? He could be emotional, match that energy. All right, bet you said that. And since he got respect and love for you, you disrespected him. So now it hurt even more. So now it can become a physical altercation, right? And we see it a lot of times where brothers, quote unquote, kill other brothers behind miscommunications. So that's their ego, that's their pride, and sometimes that's just like a lack of training. Like we have to learn how to engage each other properly and communicate, whether we agree or not. So it starts like as early as childhood. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just let their kids have tantrums and just go fucking ape shit crazy. Some people be like, whoa, 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 hey, slow down, breathe, meditate, talk to me. Now, say what you mean. No, talk to me. It starts that early. You know what I'm saying? If people don't train you how to communicate when negative emotions get involved, these type of relationships may can form in your life when there wasn't even a reason for them to really get to that level. So communication is key. You got it.
Oh man, communication is a valuable point, man. I'm gonna put something out there that's funny between me and X. Me and X know how to pull each other card if we want to, bro. We know how to be petty, bro. We know how to be petty if it comes down to it. But once we done with the bullshit, we'll just call each other like, "Hey, listen, man, look, let's talk." You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's always been the best point because either I'll catch it, he'll catch it, we'll just be like, all right, man, let's just talk, let's just get this over with. You know what I'm saying? And it is best to recognize when you start working in a certain manner that can be detrimental to your business or your relationship, regardless if there's love there. Because I be telling people, look, love is only going to exist for so much until that shit is just gone, right? You can't repeatedly hurt somebody multiple times and think it's always love there, right? Some people think love is always there for shit they done 5-6 years ago. Like, Nick, what the fuck? Yeah, we don't know you no more. But people think it's the same thing as they once was getting, right? Same dude who thought he that was a man outside of prison, outside of prison, going to prison, come back. He still think he the same guy. It's a whole different world out there. You fought, like I said, unless you're tight like that with your connections, you fall in a different hierarchy. You working with somebody else. Hey, we don't give a fuck about you. Like communications, like you said, when it comes down to it, it's people that came from out of cities, out of states, even from prisons, like try to check homies, be like, look, I ain't never heard of you, bro. Like, if you want to make something happen, you're gonna have to show me with your hands. But then the proper way to tap in is how you communicate with those brothers, and you let them know who you know, who they know. Like things that's more diplomatic than it is controversy, right? One of the main things, like for instance, you got BMF. Lamar just comes in and bullies everybody. He just bullies everybody, right? So although his love is fear, that his fear is his love, right? Because you got a lot of people that fear you, but it only takes that one person to be like, hey, listen, fuck this, let's get rid of this guy. We see it happen all the time. People operate off that because their communication is different. But you can see the different communication points with the woman he's with, right? When he's with her, he went from like, oh man, I love, Zoe, I just want to be there for the kids, to at one time he said she didn't want to be with him. Hey, yo, come here, bitch. He flipped out and been a whole other person, right? Now imagine she went through something traumatic as that, and the next time you see this man, he giving you inspiration again. Sometimes one way she said, look, Zoe's not here no more. And he said, look, man, don't ever separate your child from the mother. And look at me. This is the reason, this is the results of me not being around my mother. And she's just like, you know what, he's right. And I'm like, yo, y'all see how he just maneuvered that quick? All she was just like, well, goodbye. But we always know, if you can plant that seed successfully in your communication with a woman you was once with, oh yeah, it's there. You could come back again. Because the way she left wasn't the same energy she first had when it started. That's how powerful communication is. You can decrease an intense situation and get into the door.
Man, you said some powerful shit, man. Failed relationships. People don't understand that shit. Like, love and hate is still on the table. You know what I'm saying? Great quote. Just because I lost you as a friend, don't mean I gained you as an enemy. You know what I mean? You brought up relationships. Woman can be in a relationship with a guy for years, love him. That's soulmate. The minute they break up, he got a little dick. Like, you know what I'm saying? You see it all the time. Dude's like, man, that's my queen. That's my, I can't stand it. Still, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. Be careful how people fall out. That'll tell you, like, really how people felt majority of that relationship, right? From day one. It comes out during confrontation. Right. You get to really finding out how people really feel about you when conflict comes about. I'm like, God damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people can go way back on your ass, like years, and bring up vulnerable, all types of shit.
Man, the vulnerable moments, boy.
Because it's a conflict. So that ties into like love-hate relationships. Pay attention to how people respond when conflict arises, right? And staying there, denial. I'm like, yo, if you got love or hate for somebody, or even a combination, stand on that. Own that energy. Stand on that. Let that be known in that relationship. Let it be known. But what a lot of people do is show hatred and hide behind love. You got to pick one. And you know what I'm saying? And you have to let that be known. So what a lot of people do is they will hate a person in secret, but hold that shit inside. So now the jealousy and the envy is steady building up. So I think a lot of people just need to be real. Be real with the people that you're in contact with, family, friends, whoever. If you really genuinely hate somebody, stand on that energy. If you love somebody, stand on that energy. What's that gonna do is it's gonna give like a responsibility level, right? People will probably show more appreciation because they like, look, I love this person. I got to stand on that energy. So this is what comes with that. So that's what I got on that.
Man, I would also say, don't let nobody abuse the love and manipulate love in situations,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, people that be like, yo, if you love me, you'll do this. Yeah, I thought you loved me. You know, love is not never giving up. And I'd be like, God damn, what people know how to use words on motherfuckers these days, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like some of them intense situations that you really can't explain, but it's there, right? Uh, I remember seeing something happen in front of my eyes,
Mhm.
right? I was at a dinner, and I remember when this guy walked in. The minute he walked in, dude that was next to me like, man, I hate this motherfucker. He just said it like straight up.
Mhm.
But see, sometimes what people don't understand is when you have intense emotions, you think you say something in your head and you end up saying it out loud.
Mhm.
And I remember as the guy was kind of coming towards up, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, what's good? How you doing, man? Everything's good? All right, man. All right, man." But as as the dinner's going on, it seemed like love was there the way he was talking. But I remember the immediate reaction was, "I hate this motherfucker." So it's situations like that that you can't explain, or I might have felt like he was being two-faced, but at the end of the day, it was family. So it was like they said, that love and hate relationship. But for me, I always had a tough time looking at scenarios where it became the family, where family could fuck over you so much, and you just gotta accept it back. And I always been like, yeah, I think that's some trash shit. You know what I'm saying? I remember, and different families. I say families because these are different cultures. People believe in cutting off the weakest link in a family branch. They wholeheartedly believe in that. They'll cast you out, make you find your own family. You ain't welcome to the dinner party no more. Nobody know your birthdays no more. And I was just like, damn, man, that's crazy. But is situations repairable at the same time? Yeah, I believe they are. But not to be long-winded on that, but one thing about when relationships end, like you were saying, I want y'all to pay attention what goes through divorces, right? Divorce is one of the most craziest fucking times any man and woman can go through. They say more women are cutthroat when it comes to divorces than men. A woman will sit there and be like, hey, look, I got the private recordings right here. He did this. Here's his paperwork. That motherfucker did this. Yeah, remember when he went? They put all the information out there. They said more men restrict themselves from hurting the mother of their kids. They're like, hey, that's the mother of my kids. You know, we had a family. That was once my wife. I can't do that. Hey, she has a tape recorder of you saying this. Can we get a recording of you recording? No, I can't do that, man. It's gonna hurt her reputation. She's a mother. And I'm like, yo. A relationship, like I said, in a relationship, especially when it comes to finances, property, you see the true behavior of what they bring up during your whole relationship in order to win that case versus what people will restrict themselves from doing.
Man, something just came to me based on what you was talking about. I could take it back to like a dog and a snake. Like, let's say a snake bites you. Boom. You're like, damn, I gotta cut the grass. I gotta watch this. You ready to kill snakes? You putting up a defense line. Some people put like mothballs and all kind of shit outside their shit. But let's say you feed your dog bites your hand. Eh, some people might whoop the dog. Some people might be like, well, maybe the dog was emotional. I don't know. Maybe it was me. But what happens is you still got a hand that's bloody. Just pay attention to the hand that's bloody. You know what I mean? So you have people bite the hand and feed them, and that happens. So just pay attention to your hand. If your hand got blood on it, regardless if it's a snake or quote unquote a dog, your dog, you know what I'm saying, being so it's domesticated, quote unquote, just pay attention to your hand if it's bloody. And another thing I want to say is like sometimes a lot of us come from so many love and hate relationships that we begin to see the world that way. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us really don't know how to let our guards down, and that became the norm for us. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I can have friends like people that I'm close to, but I won't tell them everything about me. I won't tell them everything I got going on because the first thing I'm thinking is, hey, you know what I'm saying? You tell a person too much, boom, it can get used against you. You know what I mean? Like these type of things happen throughout life, but sometimes people just I think can overdo it. True, I just have to bring that to the table. Some people could come from like a family or a neighborhood, you know what I mean? And they feel as though they got to hide their success because that may trigger some people, you know what I'm saying, in that past. This is, to me, it's like traumatic experiences that people continue to live by and we make it seem normal. You know what I'm saying? I'm a 90s baby. A lot of the hip hop in the 90s was about betrayal. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Big had the shit. It's the ones that smoke blunts with you, see you picture now they want to grab their guns and come and get you. Like, a lot of people is rapping about jealousy, envy, homies killing homies, friends killing friends, these type of things. So I would just simply say, like, pay attention to that type of shit. If you got to hide your success from people, 9 times out of 10, that's a relationship you need to evaluate. If you can't just really just vibrate at your highest level and be proud of your accomplishments, no matter what they are, then you need to look at the hand. The hand is bleeding somewhere. So, you got it.
Yeah, that was beautiful right there. Definitely, I will say be cautious, be aware when it comes to situations like that. Like I said, some situations where you get bit, you might look at it like, all right, I can do it again. They had an old saying, right? There was a thumbtack on Farmer. He had a dog. The dog sat on the thumbtack. All you hear the dog say, he comes out. He's like, what's wrong with the dog? Grandpa said, well, he sat on a thumbtack. You hear the dog. And he was like, well, why doesn't the dog just get off the thumbtack? Grandpa looks at the boy and says, well, maybe it don't hurt that bad. Some of y'all sit on shit that that you think don't hurt that bad, but you still hurt. We still hear you, but you won't move out of those situations, right? Some of y'all get numb to pain to a point it becomes normal, right? I had a couple of homeboys that stayed in New York. They said they heard the subway growing up so much by the time they hit a teenager, they became numb to it to a point where you sleep through it. Like if you hear the subway over there in New York, Philly, wherever it's at, to tourists, they wake up immediately. But to local people, it's normal, right? There's a noise gets tuned out, pain gets tuned out. There's different things that happen that if you tune it out, it doesn't fix shit. So you just become adjusted to it. So you oversee that some painful situations that you're literally looking at, but you just like, all right, shit, that's normal. You know, that's how I get down, right? Like one of the main things they would say is like, yo, how is it that you could 6ix9ine said it. He said, yo, how can you be homeboys and stick to the street code, but y'all snitch on each other and fuck each other, girls behind each other's back? Yeah, where's the loyalty in that? But see, people that are inside it will be like, that's the norm. People who are outside will be like, no, that's just stupid. That makes no sense. But if you're a part of something, it's normal. I remember when a couple of my homies got locked up, some of the homies started fucking with their girls. But I looked at it like, y'all, man, you ain't real for that. You fucking with this girl. But then another part of me always, it clicked in my mind earlier. I was like, yo, at the end of the day, a woman gonna do what she want to do. If she didn't want something to happen, she wouldn't let it happen. She might report it back to the dude if she chooses to. But at the same time, if she accepts his homie or whatever and them interacting, I'd be like, well, shit. And it just, to me at an early age, I was like, all right, shit, I think that's normal to me. Like, damn. Because, you know what I'm saying? I just said that became normal to me because, like I said, like you said, female nature, human nature, or whatever, only when one denies the other, that's the only time things can stop completely. But if one accepts the others, things can keep going further. So that's all I got on that.
Cool, man. That's that was good, man. We ain't gotta go too much further into that.
Oh no, man.
Yeah. One thing I just always think about is like how great could some things have been, like historically, and then probably in our personal lives if these type of things didn't exist. Love and hate relationships. Like I said, a lot of times they come from the same people, 9 times out of 10.
Mhm.
So unfortunate truths in life. But for the people that want to like really make it, be successful, be happy, quote unquote, like have love, show love, give love. Like I like a lot of
I'm
people's
big on that.
their content, whatever they promote, and they pushing love. Like, you know, a lot of people go out of their way just to love somebody. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you got to go out of your way to do either or, love or show hatred.
Who?
You know what I mean? So there's no greater resistance. There's no greater energy to do either one. That's your personal choice, I believe. So I would just say, just emphasize love, even if it's uncomfortable. Be it so that it's still positive. Just emphasize love. Don't make hate the norm. That's always the norm. So
Yeah, man. Like I said, we got to be able to reevaluate things that we call it normal sometimes.
Mhm.
That way we get a better evaluation of things like why do we consider this normal? But like I said, it just depends on the spectrum you're living in. Like I said, if you tell somebody the street code that's in the streets versus somebody that's outside the streets, somebody would be like, yeah, this is 100% how it should be. And I'm like, yo, that's 100% stupid. But then the other person, I look at them like, yo, they're in suits and ties going to work while they can just work for themselves and make shit happen. One person consider them stupid, and the other person consider them weird, because we all have the ideas in mind how we look at how our life should operate. You know, code, morals, ethics, whatever it is. Something funny just popped in my mind, man. Besides the cover of obviously Jody and Yvette, I started thinking of what is that? The Best Man final chapters. Who was that two couple that had that love hate relationship? Because one thing they did, they definitely went out of their way to prove shit to each other. What's his name?
I would say the most common would have been like LJ and what's the dude? Hart.
LJ Hart. That's what's up. You got LJ Hart.
LJ kept acting like he really hated him, but behind all that hatred, you love that man. Like it is what it is. Stand on it. Yeah, I mean, so the whole thing is like I'm a hide my love. I'm gonna show hate. Like, bro, that ain't sincere. So, you know, these type of things happen. It's not always a negative thing. Some people really, really, really genuinely love you, but just don't want to show it. Fear. I've had situations with people that I'm close to, and it's like it's something I probably could have communicated about, put it on the table, but I was sometimes in a fear of how they would respond and how that may trigger me. So I'm like, I ain't gonna break that shit up. I just rather keep it with me. Like a lot of times people do that. So fear is an interesting word. It's not always quote unquote on the scale of negative and positive how we want to see it. Sometimes we can really just fear how people might respond in certain situations. So we just hide behind hate, like some people hide behind love. So yeah.
Oh, definitely. You can hide courage, you can hide fear.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man.
All right.
Unless you got anything else, man, you can sign us off.
All right. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure you share the video. It's only going to be up for about 24 hours. It's coming down. You got to tap in on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, so up top, we got No Ordinary Brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. Let's Talk That Talk official podcast. Make sure you tap into the YouTube channel and subscribe. Thank you for your time.
All right, y'all. Peace.